Earlier today, AG Pam Bondi, FBI Director Kash Patel giving a press conference about Operation Restore Justice. Supposedly 225 arrests were made, 115 alleged victims of child sex crimes. Talk to us about the nature of these crimes and how difficult it is to police it and how big of an announcement this is.
Well, these are sex crimes, if you will, and very often the victims suffer in silence. I'm a former sex crimes prosecutor from the state of New York in Manhattan, and so I've dealt with this up front and tried lots of cases, and this is the worst of the worst, if you will, and difficult to prosecute because it's a prior relationship. So the arrest is the first step, prosecution is the next one, and making the families, the mothers and the children, whoever the victims are, the complaining witnesses, making them feel safe and making them committed to going through with the prosecution. Because many of these cases, ultimately, whether they're felonies or misdemeanors, don't always get prosecuted because the complaining witnesses back out because either the father or the brother is the breadwinner, and notwithstanding, folks got to put food on the table. And so it'll be important for DOJ to protect those victims further by making sure they go through with the prosecution. But good work by DOJ and the FBI. It's a small percentage of those people who came across the border who are committing crimes. Statistics say that, right? Doesn't make it right, but due process is an interesting piece in the foundation of our Constitution. Those individuals, including the accused who killed Lincoln Riley, certainly had his day in court and he was convicted. And that's the judicial part of it, that's justice. But people who are committing crimes because, not because they're illegal immigrants or unlawful immigrants here, they do it wherever they were. So when you put the label of illegal immigration on it, it's almost like they're illegal and they're committing crimes here, they should go. Agree. At the same time, though, they're not committing these crimes because they came into the country illegally. We know that most people come to this country looking for a better life and to avoid poverty and gang warfare and so forth and so on.
What do you say to the argument that that illegal immigrant lost their right to due process as soon as they decided to break the law and come into the country?
Not true. Not true, because once you're in the U.S., the Constitution is a living document. They get their due process. It's just a hearing. You know, giving someone due process doesn't mean they win. It doesn't mean they get to stay. It means they get to confront the evidence against them. It means they get to confront their accusers, right? And then there's going to be a judicial decision. It may take a little longer versus just picking people up and tossing them out of the country because you think they committed a crime. But you see, it's a living document, and due process is important because if you were wrongfully accused and you were wrongfully accused, you'd want your due process. Those individuals, no matter what their background or the color of their skin, get the same protections under the Constitution as the three of us do. It's super important to the American judicial system. If you don't do it legally and appropriately, then the system, the very best system in the world that we have here, then that system breaks down. And it'll fail you and myself. If you don't do it for those who are here illegally, and they haven't in regard to that group that they sent, a group of Venezuelan gang members that they sent to South America, then it fails us too. And that's important. The power of the law, the power of the Constitution makes up the greatness of this country. Let's not reduce those standards simply because someone came here illegally, which essentially is a misdemeanor.
Scott, where is the fine line, though, between making sure that everybody does get due process in the appropriate way, but also making sure that the resources that take that time and effort don't get passed on to the American people?
It's important to us as Americans that we honor that system because you and I would want it if we were in their same position. Especially not necessarily here illegally, but if we were accused of a crime. It's important. It may not feel right, and it may be delayed justice in your mind, right? But if you do it to them, then this government can do it to us, and it's wrong on both counts.